What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Trip Across the Border. My name's Max. I'm here with Chris, and today we have on one of our captains, like being a captain, Mr. Elm, the face of Elm for the last
1,000 points.
About to score 1,000 points.
Watch me, my faith get lost into my singing. Heart like New Orleans and cars be cool and G's.
What the fuck?
It's like croutons in a soup.
Don't turn down any opportunity, whether it's a camp, a clinic, because you never know literally who's watching.
Make your own decision and stick with them and know they're the right decisions, right? And even if they aren't right, don't regret them.
He didn't know creatine existed.
So he got on some creatine, he's like, oh yeah, lift heavyweight.
Shipped across the border.
I shipped across the border.
Shipped across the border, man.
Welcome back to Shipped Across the Border.
I think he plays like Kemba Walker. Chris doesn't agree.
I don't. Do you think you play like Kemba Walker?
He has a little bit of a different opinion.
Nah, I mean, I pretty much like modeled my game. I used to watch a lot of Chris Paul and Kyrie, so those like my two go-to guys growing up. Kemba, I mean, I heard of him, watched him when he got in the league. I wasn't like a UConn Kemba guy. Kyrie, Chris Paul, those like my two.
See, I don't know. He just said that like we were doing NBA comparisons and we were watching you guys play threes, and he said that you play like Kemba Walker. I just don't see it.
So, that step
So
back.
what do you say?
I don't know. I've been thinking for a while. I low-key almost say SPA.
I like to do that, though.
Oh, that's what Avery said. We had this talk. You were there.
Because he has to like
Avery said the same thing.
he'll get to the paint, pump fake, and then just play it off two. I think
But
that's
it's hard
very
because you're like 5'10".
Yeah, but it's hard regardless. I mean, Kemba, yeah, I heard Shabazz before.
I'm not familiar with. I haven't watched Shabazz.
Shabazz is a great guy. Go watch him. Boston guy too. So I'm not from Boston. I'm originally from New York. Grew up there. Moved to Connecticut when I was about 10. Went to a small school in Milford, Platech. Played ball there. Went to D2 for 1 year. And
Right,
I
high
changed
school?
from Elms. Huh?
On scholarship?
Yeah, I was like half. It was half.
How does that work?
athletic.
Actually, that's interesting. I think.
Yep.
I don't know if you've ever interviewed someone like just from. There's obviously a bunch of different levels of collegiate
Yeah.
basketball, and we talked to a bunch of people from different levels. But D2, I don't know if we've necessarily
No, we definitely
talked
have not.
about.
Definitely have
So
not.
how does that kind of work with like half scholarships, like offers? I know at Division III they
Yeah.
offer you a spot, but like as we know, like how many dudes are
no
offered a
money,
spot
and there's
here?
no money
There's
included, so it's
like,
not
how
a
many-
promise.
How
Yeah.
many people are offered a spot here and then like knock on wood, like won't
Yeah.
make the team? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and
So,
I
like,
mean,
how does that work?
That happens a lot. So, I mean, D2 is different, you know, you guys. So, you got scholarship. It's just like, think of NBA, think of college. You're paying them to be there. So, whoever's on full scholarship is just like a first dibs. They're going to play, most likely. But all that being said, like the D2 I went to was in Waterbury, Connecticut. It's not a small D2. It's in a good conference. A lot of good schools, Chestnut, UB. There's plenty of schools. Like Holy Beacon, a lot of 1,000-point scorers, a lot of pros that came out of that conference. But all that being said, like you're on a scholarship, so that's always first come, first serve with them. But I've seen D1 transfers come, get benched, not play. Especially my first year, was a lot of like over recruiting. It was like 30, 35 guys. It kind of looks similar to how we looked
It
this year.
sounds familiar.
Yeah, so I mean, it was a tough situation for everyone. Like I done seen guys who were like went from starting the first game to not playing, to you know what I'm saying, leaving. We had Atlanta guys, Baltimore. We had guys from everywhere. So it was a different situation. It was good for like me personally. I mean, I knew I could play at the level, competed a lot.
Did you play?
I redshirted, so
Redshirted.
practiced a lot, practiced against the guys. I mean, I was loved there. A lot of love from teammates, but they also knew, I was leaving because it's like I'm not gonna sit here and battle over recruiting. And obviously, like D2, I have a friend that plays at a D2 right now, and it's a tough situation. It's kind of similar situation to me, but he chose to stay. And you're taking a risk on yourself. You're betting on yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. But at a D2 level, or you know what I'm saying, if you're in the NBA and you're playing for pretty much free, it's like, what's the point? You know who's gonna play and who isn't. Like you done seen it. Look at Cam Thomas. Look at guys like that. Cam Thomas had 3 back-to-back 40 balls, but who are they paying the big money to? They're gonna play them over you, no matter how good you may or may not be. So
So in Buffalo, there's this team called Damon, and they're really good. Like they're top 20 in the country, right? And they're D2. And we watched them play multiple times at Madai. And one of the big differences I noticed between like D3 basketball and D2 basketball was just like the sheer size.
Yeah.
Like there's these guys that there was like they had the shortest person on the team was 6'4",
6'3", yeah.
So,
Depending on the conference, yeah.
I'm wondering, did that mess with your game? Is that why you didn't? You're just too like you
Nah,
were.
so I came in. I was like skinnier. I wasn't even about small. I was always been athletic, always been fast, smart guy. You know what I'm saying? So I came into that situation a little different. At first, he told me, "Hey, get your weight up." I ended up gaining like 10, 12 pounds of muscle within like the first semester, second semester. Obviously, I weighed how I was playing, things like that. I kept up, skill wise, physically, athletically, conditioning, things like that. I was able to grasp the plays. Assistant coaches loved me. They knew I was a good player, but it was just like, I talked to my assistant coaches. I was like, hey, what do you guys think? Should I stay, take that chance, or should I leave? And they're like, hey, if you could go to a situation where you're going to be immediately starting, you know what I'm saying, that's somewhere where you could call home, take where you want it over to where you're going to have to earn your spot. And I think that's where a lot of guys go wrong. Like, the size and things to me doesn't matter if you're skilled. Like, obviously it's different when you're just a role player and you can only do one thing. But when you're skilled and you can do plenty of things, you go fit in any system. And even if you have one role, you could just shoot the ball or you can just play defense.
Sure.
Someone somewhere is going to be home to you.
Yeah. No, keep going. But I was gonna say, kind of like earning your spot and kind of like that's kind of like relates to like, kind of like what's going on right now. And like a question that like I was thinking about and like been thinking about, I think a lot of people would want to think about is like during tryout season, like you gotta like really balance like getting yours and like not looking selfish. You know what I mean? Because like at the end of the day, you can't be too passive because otherwise you're just gonna get looked over. But you can't be too ball dominant because otherwise you're gonna again be like cut immediately because no one wants a guy who's just gonna take all the shots. Like when you're young, you go from playing D2, you come here, you're a sophomore. How do you kind of like find that balance, and what was that like? Was there any anxieties that came with tryouts? I think it's just the differences. You know what I mean?
I was like, tryouts wasn't a problem. Practice, I fit right in. It was like I made a lot of good plays, a lot of good reads. They could tell, okay, this is why he played at this level. Obviously, if he earns any minutes, he starts. This is why he would start. So I came in. I always tell everybody the story that is new to school. I went on my visit, came here. Coach told me, hey, I think you could be a 1,000-point scorer. You could be one of these guys out, either A, were successful individually or B, successfully, as a team, had team success because the number one scorer here is the most winning player here. I think he won like 4 chips back to back.
I think we might have looked him up before online.
Bags. He's like 5'6".
Yeah, we did look him up before. He was averaging like 30 a game.
Yeah, he's a small guy, but I seen him at the alum game. Floaters, 3. He's a good player. I worked out with him this summer too. Fun fact. Good dude. He coaches at Holyoke High School, so if anybody in the area, go check him out. But yeah, never had really any anxiety. I knew my skill set. I really work hard, so that's where my confidence comes from. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. Hard work always, triumphs everything else. But never anxiety. I came in. Coach told me I wasn't gonna be a starter. He said I would have to earn it. I was never worried. I came in, first game, dropped 17 off the bench. And then I started ever since then. Obviously, I had a few games where maybe mentally it was like, hey, not just, me, but, just having a bad stretch or a bad game. But other than that, never really anxiety. It's practice. Like, if you put the work in, you're going to be ready for it.
So 2 things after that. So how do you explain to, like, the audience how, like, they can, like, stand out in a tryout and stand out in the right ways? You know what I mean? Because obviously it's very easy to stand out in the wrong ways. Yep. So how do you, like, stand out in the right ways in order to, like, kind of, like, make that team, put yourself over the edge?
So, I mean, since I've been playing basketball, I obviously learned you can't be one-dimensional. So if you're a shooter, you're a scorer, you're a passer, whatever your individual strength is, because everybody has that one thing that they do good specifically, you got to do everything else at least effort-wise 100%. So if I'm a good passer, but I maybe can't score the ball, I'm going to go get a rebound. I'm going to get tip-outs. I'm going to go play defense. Like, those small things is what makes a coach stand out in your eye. Or being vocal is a perfect example, bringing energy. Because certain guys aren't the most skilled. They're not, you know what I'm saying? You could tell when you step in a room or step on a court with somebody who's what. And after a while, you start seeing, okay, this is what makes this guy stand out because, yeah, he may not be the most talented, but he's the most vocal. He's, supportive. He's over there diving on 50-50 basketballs. He's jumping up. He's boxing out a 6'10" guy, and he's only 5'10". So, like, those small things always pop out, not only to a coach but to a player. Like, when I see that, even when I was younger and even now, I always tell guys, like, continue doing that because that's what's going to make you stand out in general. And that just shows character. Shows that you're willing to sacrifice no matter what you got going on. Because there's guys that touch college basketball, D1, D2, D3, JUCO, and they were the guy at their school. And then you got to change your role.
Everybody, even, like, look at the freshmen. Like, every single person was probably the best player on their high school team, right? And, like, some people are not going to make the team. And at the end of the day, it's just that's how it
Tough
is.
situation.
Yeah, this is something I definitely want to address to like everyone out there. So there's a kid that I trained in the summer. His name's Miles Epworth. If you're watching this,
Shout out Miles.
And
Can't check
I'm
me.
not gonna lie, his team kind of sucks. Like they can't win a game. They're losing by 50. They're getting absolutely
He's
destroyed.
playing in a prep like a very
prep
good-
school in
Okay.
Canada,
but a very, like, very good
and,
competition.
and like they just can't win a game. And he sent me his film and asked me to sort of figure out like why, or just get my perspective on it. And I was watching the game, and like they were in it for the first half,
Yeah.
and then second half they started going down by 10. And some guys scored some layups. They're getting leak outs. Then one kid went up for a layup and he got fouled, but they didn't call it. And then he just did like the palm up shit. And I was just watching this, and I'm watching players, and I'm like, I can see from now that I've played in college, and I can kind of see what winning teams look like. Body language is so unbelievably underrated. And if I was a coach and I was watching you in tryouts and I see you go for a layup and then you start looking at your teammates or doing all this stuff, automatically you're cut for me. I don't care how good you are. I don't care whatever you can do on the court. If you're a toxic player, I really don't need you on my team. I'd much rather have 10 guys. We already talked about this so many times. 10 mediocre guys, but if they're all on the same page, if they all have the same body language, if they're all those 50-50, if they're all diving on 50-50 balls, that team will win. I bet you so
That was
many
like
more
my
games.
first year in Ohio at our prep school. We were way more talented the next year, and we were probably way less talented than a lot of the teams that we played. But we were like 13-5 and like beating teams and in games with teams that we should not have been competing with. Just the simple fact that every single person on the floor knew every single spot in the plays, and every single person on the floor had their hearts set on their role, and there was no egos, and everybody just excelled in their own, and we just murdered teams just based on just playing together. And we had 3 players go and play college basketball, but like compared to some of the teams and some of the physicality and like the talent that we were playing against, we should have no business being in some of these games. But we just took care of business just because of what do you call it. But another thing I wanted to say, kind of backing off of your point of they were in the game, then they're down 10, they're down 15. And I think it's a really important thing in life is like how to like stop the bleeding. Because like obviously negative shit happens, and when negative shit happens, it's very easy to go, and more negative shit happens.
Like
right?
when you're guarding Wesley, or
Like, boy.
bring it up, tell him what happened.
He scored 7 points in a row, and then I had 11 points.
9.
And then I had 11, and we won. And then I had 11, and we won.
Yeah, but I've been telling you to stop the bleeding though for a while.
But yeah, no, 100%. But I definitely had 11 points in a row, and we won. Same thing with Avery. We played me and Chris versus Avery and Ben, and Avery hit 7 in a row on me, and then I had 11 in a row on him. And then
I just want to bring that up for the audience.
That's how it is. That's how it is. We know we're working on defense over here.
I respect this. See, look, you went in there focused on something that you know you may not be your strength, but
we working on
He
it.
talks about this all the time. He's like, you may score 9 on me, but I'm going to come back and rattle off 21, and we're going to win the fucking game, but I'm not going to play defense.
I'm also just not a one-on-one defender. Like, I'm way better. And even, like, TC playing with me in a system, just being in help, being in gaps.
Okay,
It's
there's
just
something
like,
else we got to bring up, too, is like the self-awareness. Like, you know that you're not a good one-on-one defender. So, like, if we let's say we were playing 5s, right, and then all of a sudden your ego got in the way, whatever, and you're like, I'm going to check TC, and then he rattles off 21 points in a row. If at that point you still don't have the self-awareness to be like, yo, I need to switch because your ego gets in the way,
100%.
that's
Look,
also the kind of
TC, what did I tell you when I was going in the corner yesterday when we weren't dribbling?
you said, good thing you can't dribble. That's literally.
Literally, like, thank fucking God, you can't dribble.
Yeah, but
like,
a lot of
you
kids
gotta be
watching this.
self-aware.
A lot of the kids watching this don't understand. I was talking to people about this too. Is like if I could go back and really focus on some shit to help me make college basketball, it would be watching a lot more of different levels of basketball. Like everyone watching this, probably a lot of kids watching this, are like, I want to go D1, whatever.
Yeah.
I can just about bet statistically that none of you are going to make Division I basketball. So when you start expanding your horizons and looking at Division II, Division III, and understanding what level you can fit in at and what you can do at those levels, it makes it a lot easier to know what you have to focus on. And when you're training and doing all this stuff, it's like you see guys going down doing windmills and they're 6'5". It's like it makes that's so far away from most of you.
That's like saying being a kid and be like, yeah, I wanna have my own island when I'm older. And like, well, first, like that's a great goal to have, but like maybe be like aim for like buying a house.
You're
first,
building
or,
up
like,
a disappointment is what I'm getting at. It's
100%,
like
yeah.
you're going to get to the end of your high school career and you're going to look around and see everyone else. Maybe some guys, like let's say you were competing with one kid and you went off to Division III basketball because you had the awareness to know I probably can't play at Duke.
And they tried
but
to
I can
fucking-
play
yeah.
somewhere. And the other kid beside you is like, I'm going to play at Duke. And he's not, he's persisting. He's like, but then he gets to the end of high school. He's like, fuck, no one wants to pick me up. And he's too
I had a
egotistical.
teammate like that. He was like our 7th or 8th man and was set in point on going to play Division I basketball. And he didn't see a ton of minutes and whatever, but he was set in point. He maybe could have walked on Division III, NAIA, JUCO, whatever. He was definitely a talented player.
Yep.
But he went to High Point University and tried to walk on and
All you're doing is hurting
You know what I
yourself in the long run. Is what I'm
Yep.
getting at.
Shooting yourself in the foot.
But what I wanted to say about like the stopping the bleeding thing is really important, and it also goes to the tryout thing. Is like you're not gonna have good days, and even you said like whatever. Some days you can't have bench, some days you don't have good days. Like, what do you kind of do to like ground yourself, and so you don't kind of like let one bad thing, negative thing, spiral into other things? Because I know, obviously you know, I know as a basketball player or as a human being, it's very easy to let like one kind of thing spiral you down. And you've had a very good, consistently, like, kind of career here. So what do you do to kind of, like, prevent that and just stay stable and, like touch earth? Like, you know what I mean?
I mean, usually, you know, obviously you're going to get negative on yourself because the one thing about us in general as humans, we're always going to look at the bad, especially when you look at yourself in the mirror. What's bad? We never looking about, okay, this is going good. So obviously in the basketball world, it's like, hey, I put X amount of work in. Why am I worried about one bad day? That doesn't make it. It's just like the quote that everybody says, you have a bad, you know, interaction with somebody and that 20 seconds could ruin a 24-hour day. Why would you let that happen? So in terms of basketball world, I related to that. Like, hey, I maybe didn't shoot the ball as good as I wanted to, but I made sure I got my teammates involved. I made sure I rebounded and I put my all into it. At the end of the day, I think as humans, all we can do is ask ourselves is to put their 100% in. Because if you do that, there's no regrets. Most of the time people have regrets or they're mad at that one negative thing or something go their way because they didn't put their all in. Yes, as a basketball player, I put my all in. I'm still mad I didn't hit that shot or I didn't make that layup or, you know what I'm saying, or I didn't do this better. But at the end of the day, most of the time it's like, okay, cool. It's on to the next game. We're going to take it one at a time. And I'm not going to say we have 25 games because we do, but you want to take it one game at a time. You might not. You'll know. You'll have rhythm in the game, but okay, this might not be the best game I have today, but I'm going to obviously, you know, try to do something differently. So being consistent is always hard. I mean, I do a lot of things on the court. That's what I always pride myself in. Obviously, if I'm not going to score the ball, you know what I'm saying? Because obviously your role is different every game. You might have, you know, somebody may have get hurt, and now your role increased for that one game. Sure. You might be missing a big, and now that, you know, reflects the whole team. Now we all got to crash the board. Now everybody has to box out. Everybody has to do something they maybe didn't do the game before or the year before. So just, you know, little things like that. And also, like you guys were saying about the egotistic things, if you're a coach and you see the body language, and if, you know, obviously, like, just your best teams were with mediocre talent compared to a team with, you know, the most talent. Sure. That's how I feel here. Like, my first year here, we have our most wins since I've been here, and I think probably one of Southall's best years. Shout out Coach Southall. One of his best years, you know, obviously. But I know in the past 5 years, that was, like, the best year. Like, it's been a lot of 2-3 year wins. And obviously, like I always tell a lot of guys, like, that's not on you. That's not on just him. It's us. We're a team, so it goes 50-50. As much as, oh, yeah, we can blame this person or your teammate next to you, we all have, you know, some type of control over what we can and cannot do. Most of the time, guys aren't just receptive as players. You're not disciplined enough to listen to what a coach is saying. Because there have been plenty of times, like, I'm the most positive person on the court. Max, you know, people know that. I say,
100%, 100%.
Keep shooting. Obviously, even, like, when somebody's not looking, I told Wes the other day, like, hey, we're in a 3-on-3 drill regular, and I'm like, hey, I see you. Like, I see what you're doing. Continue doing it. Like, I speak to guys outside of practice. We text, you know, calls. Spoke to Ian before he got here. We had a great hour talk. Like, so obviously I had Coach tell him, like, hey, you can't make that body language. I'm talking, like, it's some things like a guy miss a wide open layup after you dime him. You're like, it's hard not to react because you're human. You're like, you got to make that. But I think they were, you know, we all miss and do things that obviously, you know, and we play better than others. You know what I'm saying? Some people play better than others. There's nothing wrong with that. But all that being said is just, you know, obviously just trying to stay positive, focus on the positives because then there might be one negative. Oh, yeah, you just shot the ball bad. But, hey, Max, you just dived on 10 50-50 basketballs that helped us get that 2-3 possession lead. So just, you know, regular things like that, just keeping yourself in the right mindset because it's a mental game. So
something you brought up there was like the next play mentality, and
yep.
Neil was talking about that too. Where if you're not having a great offensive game, it doesn't mean you just have to shut down completely. Like
yep.
His mindset is if I miss this three, I'm gonna come back down on defense. I'm gonna get a stop,
yep.
And that seems to be a pretty reoccurring theme with guys who are like really good basketball players. Is that they don't really care if the offense is going well or not. They're just there to play 100%.
You can't have conscious.
They're just unconscious. They don't care. It's the next play. It's what I'm going to do.
Like,
I remember, do this, I'm going to do this.
Like, it was 1 or 2 tryouts ago, and, like, I was dead tired, and we came on the court, and you drove in, kicked it to me, wide open, air ball. Then you get the offensive rebound, kick it back to me again, and I hit it. I mean, you can't have a conscience and, like, just, like, think about stuff. Something that I do, I feel like I've talked about this on the podcast before, after every single, not necessarily, maybe an open gym, but like most of the time I go on the court, especially if it's like of value of a tryout or a practice or a game, I'll kind of like write down 10 things that I did well after every single time I go on the court for something of value. And I mean, obviously it's really easy when you play well, and I feel like we talked about on the podcast like when it's.
Can you please tell them what the time you had like that really?
I feel like I had such a bad day at Madai one time, and like my earrings like were like infected, and like my earring just like went back in the hole in my ear nice, and I just put that shit in because like that was a positive that happened in that time frame, and I had nothing else to say. Yeah, like
it was that kind
but the reason I do that isn't for the days that I have good practices, good tryouts, good games. It's for the days so I can catch myself when I'm falling on the bad days. And you mean if you build a habit of doing stuff, and it's easy to like stray away from like, oh, I don't need to go to the gym today. Like I had 20 yesterday.
Yep.
Like I'm nice, but like it's easy to stray away from what's been working for you to get to that point when you're playing well. But you do those things so when you're not playing well, you don't fall as far. You know what I mean? That's definitely something I recommend.
One of the things that I'm gonna try and get into some problems that I had. I'm retired now, obviously, but like there's some things that
Semi-retired. We were busting ass in threes and bricks.
That did happen. But one of the things that I used to struggle with was when I got pressed by a more athletic guy than me for 94 feet or whatever. And you seem to be a very competent ball handler. I'm sure you struggled at one point having a guy in front of you just sitting. And I'm wondering if maybe you have some advice that you would have given to me who struggled with really aggressive defenders and getting pressed 94 feet. Because I'm sure someone out there is struggling with that.
I mean, my first year here, we had a guy that led the whole division in steals, and being egotistic, the whole team, not just me. We're like, yeah, okay, whatever. And he stripped us, like long, lengthier, 6-foot guard, 6'5" wingspan. So obviously he's wrapping around you getting a steal, or crossover in front of him, you put the ball in front of him, he's getting a steal at all. So every time, things like that, me just being in those situations, trial and tribulations, because not only him, I've been in, high school, double teams, trying to break full court presses by myself. And I had a good coach my first 3 years. Like, it was, at first I didn't see the vision on what he wanted or what he had planned for me. But he showed me, obviously, like, hey, you're a good dribbler, you're a good ball handler. Obviously, you're very creative, because that's what makes most ball handlers great. They're creative, and obviously they see spaces before the defense does or, the next person. But it's just trials and tribulations playing against different players, taller, athletic, faster. And then obviously you start to learn what you can and cannot use against them. Like Mike is faster. I know Mike's been talked about on the podcast a lot. Hello, Mike. You're doing something good. He's faster, so obviously I use that speed against him. Okay, you're going to try to beat me to the spot. I'm going to use a little more contact, a lot of, stop and go, a lot of changing directions because now you're trying to use your speed against me. I'm just going to use it against you. More aggressive defender, I'm just going to use my speed because you just can't stay with me. Obviously a slower defender, same thing, you can use your speed. Think about more athletic defenders that could jump and move laterally, like maybe a RJ, a Neil. I use my speed and I use your length against them. So, hey, they're going to bite on ball fakes. They're going to bite on hezzies. They're going to, you get what I'm saying? They're just going to bite because the first thing in their head is, okay, cool. I'm faster. I'm stronger. I'm more athletic. I'm bigger. I'm going to be able to take advantage. And obviously you just use that against them. It's just learning. Their strengths can become a weakness in hindsight. So I just learned that throughout the years. It's been a lot of, turnovers. Even the best of guards, you see it. LeBron had an 8 turnover night. Dame, Steph, but obviously you learn through those. You don't make those make the person you are. You know what I'm saying? You just continue to learn. So,
just before this, I was watching some of your game film just to get a feel. Because I haven't really seen you play at this point. And usually when you're playing in runs and stuff, you're very nonchalant. So you're always. When I watched some of your game film, and one of the things I saw you do, and I don't know if you might disagree with me on this because I said this before the podcast, but I think you have a really sound, fundamental type of game. Because we were just watching your buckets and the highlight reel, and it was. Just,
I didn't say you're not fundamental.
No, but
I just said you do a lot of creative shit. You hit a lot of tough shots.
I didn't say you didn't do that, but I'm just saying when you're watching the film, it's a lot of. He gets out in the break and just finishes on top of one guy. Pause. Finishes the ball.
Off two. Main final part is that off two.
It's off two. Yeah. So he gets in the paint, and you just talked about that pump fake. I saw you get into the paint, pump fake, reverse pivot. It's really one of the main themes we've had on here is that basic shit, really fundamental shit, will get you on a college basketball floor, and you don't need all the flash, you don't need all that extra shit, and usually it's just better to have the basics anyway because that's why it's fundamentally it works.
Yep.
I'm wondering if you could speak on that a little bit.
So it was funny. Me and Tay was on here. Shout out Tay. We was having a convo. He asked me who would I rather have. I think he said Bones Highland or Emmanuel Quickly. That's who it was. And I said I'm going to take Emmanuel Quickly because I think he could do everything Bones does, but he's more fundamental. if you notice, most guys, superstar, yes, they're flashy, they're creative, they're good finishers, they make tough shots, but they do the basic things really well. So most of the time it's shaded by, oh yeah, they're so creative. Like Kyrie's, obviously the best finisher, you can say he's the most skilled person in the NBA, and people look at him like, hey, he's not fundamental. But if you look at footwork, you look at pivots, he could hit any backboard shot, any hand. That's fundamentals. That starts with there. That's the foundation of his game. So I always again, I had a good coach. I didn't understand, again, like I said, going back, I was mad. I was coming off the bench, averaging 10 my first, 2 years in high school. And I wasn't understanding because I was killing on JV. I was averaging 35 points, 30. I'm going crazy. And obviously I have a few varsity games where I'm getting 15, 20 off the bench. And I'm like, hey, when is it going to be my time? And then obviously I noticed that when he left, because he left my senior year, it translated because I averaged pretty much a near triple-double. I was averaging 28 and 8. And I was in consensus to get all state. I went to tech school. So that's, obviously tough for a person going to tech school because that's, usually not something that happens. But all that being said, I just, that helped. And then obviously once I start working out, I usually start with the basics, a lot of backboard stuff, finishing, just regular drills that you do growing up that you take advantage for. And you're like, hey, okay, I don't got to do this anymore. But it's a part of, the lifestyle of being a basketball player. Like the best of the best do the basics. They sit under the rim and do form shooting. They sit under the rim and do regular finishing layups before they get to the reverses and before they get to the up and unders and all this other stuff and just footwork in general.
100%. So you talk a lot about work and the work you're putting in, but I also know you personally outside of basketball. I know you work you were going to work at 8 o'clock. You told me, so we're recording this at 6, so you can get there. You're obviously a full-time student. You're telling us that you're getting a master's degree in business. I know you're very social. You're always in the common area, hanging with the guys, always doing stuff. We went bowling a few days ago. So how do you kind of balance all of those things of school, work, basketball, social, sleeping? How do you balance all of those things? I know specifically for me, this summer I worked a full-time job, 9 hours a day.
Yeah.
On top of that, I was waking up early, hooping, lifting after work or vice versa, and on the weekends, whatever, and then obviously social life as well and sleep. And I thought that was extremely difficult for the 6 weeks that I did that. So how do you kind of balance that?
I mean, I've always been a time management guy, growing up. And obviously you could be the best time management person because in hindsight, that's just speaking or setting up a schedule, but you got to actually do it.
I saw some shit.
So most of the time that's me. I've always been a doer. I've always been a go-getter. So obviously I do different things. I am a student. I'm getting my MBA right now. I'll be done with that this December. I work part-time at T-Mobile, and then obviously I have a job here. I'm an ARD, which is above a resident advisor, so I micromanage them. And then obviously I do a desk job that's I just sit there. But
is that what you're going to tonight?
Yeah.
So we can finish this right at
yeah.
Okay.
So usually I have all of those things, but it's not a problem because I know how to space out, when to get homework done. For example, I'm gonna knock out 2 birds with 1 stone. I go to this desk job, I'm gonna get homework done. Any, game planning, I like to call it. So if I need to set up my next week, I'm gonna start putting that in the schedule. You get what I'm saying? A Google Calendar, things like that. But the main thing of, just being able to make all of those things work is knowing not only yourself, but also doing what you need to do to create free time. Because I can be like, hey, I'm gonna hit the gym at 7:30, and if I don't hit the gym at 7:30, now that creates a gap in my schedule where I can't, now I have to put that somewhere to fit, or I'm not gonna do it, and now that's gonna affect me in one way or another aspect. So okay, now I'm on the court and I can't make a shot or can't make a layup because you didn't go work out. So it's obviously just knowing yourself, and obviously you don't want to overwork yourself. It's okay to take a day off. That's the one thing I say about most people who are working 40 hours or doing 2 things at a time. Because even growing up, I had a lot of summers where I'm working 40 hours a week, and I'll get off a double shift. You get what I'm saying? 10 hour, 16 hour, and I'm trying to go to the gym and get working. And obviously my mom's looking at me like, hey, you're crazy. What are you doing? But obviously that's what it takes to be great. I always think we can sacrifice now because our bodies are, will adjust to it. Once you get to them 30s, 40s, 50s, you won't be able to live this type of lifestyle and do all these type of things because sooner or later your body's going to be like, hey, slow down. So I always think sacrifice now so later I can live comfortably. So regardless, I am doing all these things. I love basketball, but you always need a backup plan because basketball, I could play a 20-year career healthy. I still got to come home and do something.
Sure.
So is your goal? It sounds like your goal is to go pro.
Yeah, it's to go overseas, definitely. I mean, I have the degree for backup. I'm doing all these other things to just put myself on a pedestal later in life. I do want to be an entrepreneur once I'm done with everything. I want to retire early. So basketball is always first, but I know it's not forever. So these things is just, okay, safety net. Okay, if this doesn't happen, because you've seen a ton of guys that you didn't like. To me, pro is not no offense. I know anybody watching this. I'm not knocking your grind. I'm not semi-pro isn't pro to me. If I'm not overseas and I'm not making a salary and I'm not getting my meals and my home paid for, you're not a pro to me. You get what I'm saying? Like, to me, that's a pro. You're getting paid to do something you love, and $20 or $100 a week, to me, you're not a pro. That's just me personally. So my goal is to go overseas, not, because I could play semi-pro. I could have stopped playing last year and play semi-pro. It's no knock, because I know a ton of talented guys who play semi-pro, and obviously they're trying to get to that next level and go overseas, but obviously, you could put all your work in and it might not happen. So just having that safety net is key for me.
I was going to go into, so basically, you're a senior now, correct? Yep. And
super senior.
Yeah.
Super senior. How old are you?
Big 6.
23.
23.
Yep.
So you came into college basketball at 18?
Yep.
Obviously, your game's evolved
Yep.
over the course of these 5 years. So we asked Neil and Tay the exact same question. I'm wondering, how has your game evolved, and what is something you would tell that 18-year-old kid to help him speed up the process to become a better basketball player?
So my game evolved. I mean, decision-making as a point guard is always hard, especially a point guard where you're a good playmaker, but you're a good scorer as well. So, like, trying to find that mesh. And one thing I learned from coaches and just people in general is always be vocal, one, because that will help, but also, two, it's just, getting your teammates involved early so that opens up things for you later. And it's not only going to open up things for you later, but also your teammates. So I learned that along the way. Again, trial and tribulation was my best teacher. I can't really say, hey, go work out. Like, going to work out just helps you when you're in a game, and it's like a repetition thing. Like, oh, yeah, I missed that shot not because of the defender. I missed a shot because of me. I just missed a shot. So at the end of the day, my game has grown tremendously. Like, just learning IQ-wise, that was always, the main thing. And I always knew that, like, hey, I pick guys' brains a lot, coaches, players. And then sooner or later, I became, like, obviously captain. I was, where I'm at now. And it's like, I still pick Coach Brain. I still ask him, like, every summer since I've been here, I have told him, hey, send me all my low light film, turnovers, missed shots. Now, obviously, he'll go his way to just throw in every single thing. But obviously, I sit there and watch things like that. So to a younger guy, if you're watching this, you just got to be very dedicated to being a better you. You can't focus on the good, because I know, like Max said earlier, some guys score 30 and they'll be like, I don't got to work out. I done had triple doubles here. I done scored 35 points. I done scored 30 points. I done had 17 points and a half in high school, college. I done done it all. I done played against the best overseas. You got to stay humble. Like, that's the main thing. Being humble gets you places, because then as much as people like, hey, humble will get you overseen or overlooked, it won't, because then people notice your character. That's the main thing a lot of people don't understand. Most basketball guys that are successful, they have good characters. You're not really hearing much people like, okay, he's cocky and he just doesn't put the work in, unless you're a 7-foot athletic Joel Embiid or Victor.
Which most people watching this probably
exactly.
are, unless
Going
James
back to that
this.
D1 talk, you got to be like, you got to be real with yourself. I look myself in the mirror every day, and if I know I didn't put my all into it, or, you know what I'm saying, I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do, I know I messed up. So as a younger player, you just got to be very receptive. Be coachable. That's the main thing. I've been in college a while, and most of our unsuccessful years come from people not just being coachable and just listening. And trust me, in the moment you may not think you're wrong, but you'll go back and look at it, listen to it, you're like, dang, he had a point. And trust me, I be there. And I'm telling you, like, I never take my power or whatever I have to other people, because I know Max, and I know you guys, somebody be like, TC's this, and TC can do whatever he wants. I don't walk, I don't talk, I don't want anybody to kiss the ground I walk on. So even if you're in his shoes like this, because to me, I'm at a Division III. Even if I was at a D2 or D1, you're human like the next person next to you. So be very receptive to that. Like, I don't care how good you are. Being a good human starts with it, and being genuine, and obviously just wanting to learn is going to help you get farther than you actually know. Like I said, basketball is going to end sooner or later. So that's going to get you farther in life. That's going to get you the connections you want. That's going to make people rotate, gravitate towards you. So just keep that in mind.
That's the second person to talk about being coachable. So just throwing that out there.
Definitely more than that.
I mean, at Elms
Oh,
specifically.
yeah. So this is your 5th year, going into your 5th year at Elm. So you definitely have been here for a long time, and this is your last year.
Yep.
Kind of like, what's your role on this team from your perspective coming into the season, and then what are you going to do this season to kind of like change the winds of like what's been going on here the last few years that you've been here? And cause you said the best season you guys had was your freshman season.
Yep.
So what are you going to do to kind of like change the direction of that and like leave this place in a better place than you found it?
So one thing to leave this place in a better place is just being a good human, being a good teammate. Like I think obviously just leaving behind good habits to your teammates, especially younger guys. They'll look back at him, but okay, TC did this, so obviously pointing them in the right direction is always going to help them. Like, okay, he was just a genuine, kind person. He worked hard, and that's going to leave behind a winning legacy. That's going to be a winning, culture, because that's what it starts with. It starts with the older guys. It starts with us. And even if you're not a freshman, sophomore, senior, whatever you are, if you're older and you're more mature, I think you should take that, initiative to be a better guy. But my role is kind of all over the place. It's always been. I had an average 7-8 boards for the past 2 years, which is not ideal for a guard spot.
5.
Yeah.
How tall are you?
5'10".
5'10" guard.
8 boards. I done led the team in rebound in the past 2 years. So I will hold my role as to be more of, I will still help with that, but to be more not off the ball, but be more of a scorer because I never had that chance since being here. Coach has wanted me to due to certain factors, you know what I'm saying, guys getting hurt and just, playing guys to their strengths. I had to be, okay, play point guard and then still play defense and then still play this. And I don't talk about stats because I hate stats. I really think it means something, but it's meaningless. I feel like Devin Booker, not saying average 30 points, but it's meaningless stats, empty stats. I didn't led a team in 4 or 5 different categories each year outside of blocks, and maybe that's it. Every other category you could think of, steals, points, assists, rebounds, that was me the past 2 years. So obviously just, hoping to get in a less role to where I can put my energy into one thing and help the team win is ideal. But if it doesn't happen, I understand. I'm a team player. Like I tell guys, I don't care about the 1,000 ball. I don't care about
How
the
close are you?
conference. About 200 points. So that's about 8.5 points a game.
Which is very, very
Yeah.
realistic if we're looking at his past years. But
Yeah. So I don't really care about that. I mean, I think everybody who's been here, who has seen me knows, if the win column wasn't where it was and the record wasn't where it was, I was an all-conference player the past 2 years. That's how I feel. Most guys that I know, personally in the conference, they know that. Most of their coaches know that. It's just obviously I'm trying to change the culture because at the end of the day, nobody can be great and get the recognition they, deserve if we're not winning. So the main thing to me is trying to transition my role into wins. So whatever coach tells me, hey, go get them rebounds, get them assists, steals, whatever, I'm going to do my best. Obviously, like I said, the 1,000 ball is going to come regardless of what I do. As long as I'm focused and trying to win and being a team player, it'll come with it. So,
Question for you about the stat thing that just came to my mind. So yesterday, Ian came into our room and he told us that he was talking to coach. And coach had this I don't know about this ranking system, but some
it's
sort
like
of
a plus minus type
some
of thing.
points
Yeah.
thing. How does that work?
So usually,
What do you know about that?
Yeah.
That's it's the opposite of what you're saying, but I'm kind of just curious as to
So usually he's
inside of that.
recording all practices. He'll look at how much you're boxing out, and he'll do a plus minus if you boxed out, if you let your man go, if you didn't talk, if you let your man get an offensive rebound. So it's he tries to navigate it like a real, NBA game because college you don't got plus minus in the box score for D3.
he did this for every player.
Yeah.
That is
And
attentive.
He did that
I'm
for
gonna say
He did that for all 30
yes,
players.
he'll have a spreadsheet with each player once practice start, whoever makes the team.
This shit
and-
fucking matters.
Yeah, and it'll be in there because I think most guys are gonna be like, hey, I should be playing over this person,
Then you
and
go back
that's
to the thing
and
like,
they'll
this
pull
is
it up,
whatnot.
and obviously if you want clips, he'll break that down for you too. So most of the time that's what it's for. It's like, hey, he's playing for a reason. It's not because I like him or you know what I'm saying. You can see he has the most deflections in practice because most guys think you don't have to put the work in practice since you're such a good player. Don't let that be you. Trust me. I think I'm the best player. I think I put in the most work. I think I'm the most skilled, but I don't step in practice and act like, oh, yeah, coach is just going to start me. Trust me, as much as the next guy may not think that, but be like, hey, TC, you can take the day off. I don't do that. I done played on sprained ankles. Don't play on injuries. But I'm, be receptive to that. That plus minus, he does it for a reason. That's pretty much the
very
ranking, yeah.
interesting.
So,
Last year, our coach talked about that too. Is how if one person comes in the gym and leads with shitty energy, whatever,
Yeah.
it doesn't take very long for the entire practice to just go to shit. And we saw that happen so many
We got
times.
kicked out of the practice. No, but the day before a game, a big game.
yep.
We were 30 minutes in. We were throwing bad turnovers. Everyone had shitty body language. He's like, just leave. Just go. Just get out of my gym. He didn't care. He does not give a fuck. But you clearly moved into more of a leader role, as you were talking about. And we might have already covered a little bit of this, but I want to be really specific and sort of get your take on, I'll say three character traits. What do you think 3 character traits of a good leader are?
think just being positive, like that's the main thing. Because obviously, like no matter what position you don't got to be a point guard to keep the next person positive. Like if I'm a center, Max misses a shot, Max keeps shooting. If I'm Max and the center misses a layup or misses a box out, block, whatever, hey, you're good. You're gonna be there in the next rotation to get that. You're gonna be in front of that guy the next time. So just being positive is like my number one thing. Number two, to being a good leader, you got to be receptive to criticism. I mean, obviously, the best players, they get criticized, not only by people close to them, and obviously, just a regular person walking the street. Like, trust me, this is a D3, but I don't watch people who don't even know about basketball, girls, guys, and they have the most to say about the next person, the team, and obviously have energy. So just being being aware to being criticized and obviously not letting the outside noise get in, because those people who don't play, they're outside noise. But obviously, like coaches, players, there'll be times where a player be like, hey, I was open, but I had a layup. And you got to obviously be like, okay, he's telling you something that's true. You both guys are both right. So obviously that's number two. Number three, we got criticism. What's the first one? Positivity. Being coachable. I know we said this a lot, but being coachable gets you places. Like the best colleges, D1, D2, D3. I watch the championship for all three each year. The best teams you can just tell are coachable. I've been to NCAA games. Yeah. I've been to NCAA games where I didn't see like, okay, this is why they're in a tournament. Because every guy that's on the court and even the guy that's on the bench, you can just see the positivity. You can see that they're coachable. You can see that there's no fighting. And that's why those teams that are successful and win championships or even get to March Madness is because those three traits are not only in the leaders, but it's from the first guy on to the last guy on. So
Our coach last year brought up a clip of Alabama, I think it was, and it was a year where they were just running fucking football in college football, and they were up by like 40. And someone missed a rotation or something, and one of the guys in the field just grabbed the other guy who missed a rotation. He's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, that level of attention to detail, even though you're up 40, whatever, just having that level of perfection is a consistent theme amongst winning teams. And he brought that out. I thought that was cool.
So, just another thing, we've like segued into so many different topics, and like just something I wanted to ask you, something that I've been like I guess dealing with is like we've been doing a fuck ton of running in practice, and my body is so sore.
Yeah.
You talked about like recovery. I just want to know like, and you're like with your busy, like what do you do for recovery? Because I witnessed you in stretching when I'm like barely even able to like touch my foot on like the Frankensteins. You're out here grabbing the rim with two hands after like one up and down. Like I feel like you're a very naturally just like I don't know. I feel like you're the type of guy who can just walk into the gym and just play.
yeah,
Type of guy. Like you really give that type of energy. Me, I need to like stretch every night, get my form shooting in. Like, I have like an old man body, but like, what do you do for like recovery?
I mean, so it's dependent. Like once I get to like I've been doing this for a while, so I will have to really be overwhelming and just overloading my body in general. But when I do get to those points, rollers, massage guns, cold, ice showers, things like that. And obviously, being able to balance that. You can't do all of those in one day because then your body's going to be overstimulated. But usually just a lot of water. I know when to rest my body. That's the main thing. I think a lot of guys, like, they don't know when to take naps. They don't know, like, because the main thing about most people who aren't, like, their bodies aren't recovering, even if they're doing those things because they're not sleeping well. I think that's the main thing. Like,
It's not my fault. He was in a room today till 2 a.m. last night. That's not that was up to me.
and I trust me, I've been there where I went to sleep at 4. Woke up at 6 a.m., 7 a.m., trust me. But the main times where, I thank God, I'm going to knock on wood, I've never had a major injury. But the main thing I always, said was taking care of my body was always my strength. Like in weight room things, like during the season, I do a lot more explosive, workouts than doing powerlifting because obviously you're already straining your body throughout the course of a game if you're playing 20, 30 minutes. So just being to know those things and knowing your body in general is just the main thing. So.
Speaking of powerlifting, just because I want to bring this up, because the podcast before, Max made fun of me because he could bench more than me. And today, can you tell them what happened?
Not gonna lie to you guys, Chris has passed me on the bench press. As a man, I can admit that. It makes it a little bit difficult when yesterday we ran 90 line touches, and I'm just dropping pounds
That was crazy.
I'm just dropping pounds by the day of the amount of cardio we're doing. So, and obviously I haven't been in the weight room much because I'm not going to go and lift before we have a 2-hour practice, and I'm not going to lift after.
Yep.
So it's kind of like you got to pick and choose your battles, and like I lifted today, I lift on as much as I can, but like at the end of the day, I'm a hooper, and you can't guard me, so
I'm just letting them know. 215.
But no, definitely-
225 is coming soon.
Definitely
bulk is
pass
real.
me. Definitely pass me, and I'll definitely give credit. It's about time.
It only took me 2 weeks.
You're
2 weeks
200.
benching.
You're
2 weeks
235
benching.
pounds.
I hadn't touched a bench in fucking 6 months. 2
How much
weeks.
you weigh?
180.
Okay, I get that. That's
He's
a
like
big
50
difference.
pounds heavier than me.
That's a big difference.
I can talk shit.
But you was talking shit to him, so you gotta understand
didn't
now.
start
It's
this
like,
bullshit.
exactly. If he started, then I'm like, okay, you got it. But you got to take that.
No,
with a grain
I
of salt.
definitely. But he's like 50 pounds. No, he's like 30 pounds heavier than me, and I was benching more than him for a long time.
I hadn't touched it. I won. It's over. But yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I'm running out of. My sheet is dry right now.
No, I got a few more things. So something that I like kind of was thinking about. So I feel like I feel when I'm playing that I'm in shape, but when we're doing the running, I feel like I'm bottom 20%. I know because I'm watching Mike fucking do laps around me. But like, and I don't think that's because I mean I was in extremely good cardio shape. I ran like a 10.9, 10.8, 100 meter in my senior year. I was on the track like
It's actually
I ran
very
track.
valid. I'm not even gonna lie. 10.8's pretty quick.
I was like 155, 160 pounds my senior year. And then last year, even like beginning of, I was like 160 pounds last year. And last year, Coach Hack, shout out Coach Hack, told me like I need to get to like 180 if I want to see the court.
Yep.
And because that would have really tremendously helped me with my defense, just being in the right places and like being able to just play off two and like all these things would help me. So I'm 180 now. I was a little bit heavier. I was like 184 at one point coming into the school year and like benching 215, whatever, like put on a lot of muscle in a lot of good places. And I was playing pickup and I was playing summer, like in a really high level summer league and I was doing stuff and I was working out hard. But I wasn't necessarily doing like suicides, 17s. So now I'm running 20 pounds heavier than I used to, and it just feels completely different. My body is really like suffering from that. So like one thing that I thought of is like next off season, not only am I gonna do more like simulate practice type running stuff, but I'm also gonna do that before I shoot because I was doing a lot. Like I'm sprinting hard. I'm doing a lot of shooting on the move because like that's what I'm working on. That's what I do, but it's completely different when you just ran 90 line touches and now you have to play a full court 2-on-2 and you kicked one out to me and I like hit the top left corner of the fucking backboard because I just ran 65 line touches and now I can't even feel my body. Like just felt like I was throwing a bowling ball. So like how do you kind of like prepare in your off seasons for the season type of thing?
So most of the time off season, I have, I work out by myself a lot, but also I'm not going to lie. Like I had a lot of different coaches, summer league coaches. I have like close friends. Shout out my boy Nori. He went to St. Joe's in Hartford. They're in our conference. If you know, they opened up 2018, very successful. They've been to the conference ship since they opened up every single year, so the past 5 years. He went there for 1 year. He finished his degree, but he played at a high level in high school as well, won a championship. We worked out this year. I worked out the years before that with my guy Mitch. Shout out Mitch. So usually those consist of a lot of running, a lot of shots. Because obviously for me, being a shot creator, just knowing my spots. At first when I was working out with Mitch, he'll have me run a lot. Like, you miss. So for example, usually it's hit 5 after I do any type of workout, any type of shooting workout, hit 5 free throws in a row. If I don't hit those 5 free throws in a row, I'm doing a lot of suicides and line touches. Then I got to come back and still make those 5 free throws in a row. So just obviously, and same thing with Nori. He had me run a lot of core. So those is like how my off season looked a lot. It was a lot of, skill work, but mixed with that conditioning in between. Because like you just said, you want to be tired when you're taking those shots because it translates to end game. And even bags. Again, shout out bags. We worked out, and there's a lot of conditioning, a lot of up and down running. Then I had a lot of full court, dribbling drills with a weighted ball and just things like that. So a lot of it consists of my already workouts and things that, I do. But just mixing it in with condition takes it to a whole nother level because once you're making, like you just said, it was a bowling ball when you're shooting it. Once you get used to it, you're like, okay.
That's a really good skill to have is being able to be effective at what you do, even if you're
when you're tired. Because it's like fourth quarter. I always tell guys, I war in practice, and you'll start seeing it more. Fourth quarter. Like once I know guys are tired, this is fourth quarter. This is time where let's get the second win. Let's, break through this wall because most of the time that's where guys, feel the most. Like once you get tired, you're not only tired physically, but you're tired mentally. So it always affects the game as a whole. You make dumb turnovers, shots that you usually make, you miss, and layups and things like that. So
I have a bunch more stuff.
You can keep going. I was just gonna say like there's a gap too between high school players and college players is that conditioning. There's a 80% of the people watching this have no idea what it takes to be in college level conditioning 100%. Shape.
So I want to segue off of that is the difference between high school and college. Like, did you have a welcome to college moment, especially at a D2? And I know only you at a D2, but but you're redshirting. So on that totem pole, you're kind of towards the bottom. You have a lot of good dudes. You said it was a good school.
Yep.
So like, do you have a welcome to college moment? And then, like after that, did you kind of have a moment when you came to Elms and you realized, shit, I came from a D2, now I'm at a D3, but this is still college basketball. Shit is still high level.
Yeah. So I mean, for me, my welcome to college moment, because I didn't specifically struggle on the court. Like even like things we do now, one-on-one drills, full courts, I was, good at. Just things like that. I struggle more in the weight room. Like obviously once I had to make that transition to more strength things, and obviously that was my welcome to college. Okay, cool. You know what this looks like, and ever since then, I always been good in the weight room. But when I got here, in terms of like my first college moment was in the game. We played the guy I told you, our defense player of the year at that time, led the NCAA in steals. He was a guy that was like, hey, damn. And he wasn't just a tough defender. Like, he was picking pockets of my whole team, including me. I probably had 4 or 5 turnovers because of him. They pressed the whole game. So, obviously, just seeing that type of player, and it was crazy because he was offensively skilled. Fun fact, I think that same year he hit a game-winning 3 in the championship at home to win the conference. So, he was a great player. Like, shout out.
That was in the NECC or the GNAC?
The NECC.
What school
Shout
was
out New England College. Shout out Cheeks. You probably won't see it. Well, I'll try to tag you. One of the guys to tag you, but he's a phenomenal player. He's played hard, great defender. But
Is he playing anywhere now?
I'm pretty sure he plays overseas right now. So he was a great player. So that was like one of my welcome to college moments. I done seen guys get 40 on us. Shout out EJ. It's my guy. He went to LaSalle. And I seen him, scoring the best pros and things like that. But those situations in general were like my welcome to college moment, especially on the court for EJ and Cheek. So.
Do you have any crazy college or even crazy basketball stories in general? Crazy coaching stories?
I'm not gonna say names. I'm just gonna give you. I'm gonna give you guys like example. I mean, I done had a couple practices throughout. December comes, winter break. You got those 2-a-days. I done watched players coaches out, leave the gym, shit like that. I done watch guys come to practice hungover. We got to run for shit like that. So those are like the craziest. I never seen like anything out of the norm of what you'll see, like, guys arguing, maybe a disagreement between a coach and a player, and like just like college things. You go party, you come back the next day and it's like, fuck. 7 a.m. practice on purpose, coach yelling, I fucking told you guys. This is why I made it a 7 a.m. practice. But I never seen anything out of the norm in terms of like, that. Maybe on the court, I done seen some crazy things. Like I said, I seen guys get 30, 40. EJ, there's a guy named name is Booker. I can't think of his first name, but he went to Dean. You guys can look him up. He was a 1,000-point scorer. I think he probably scored like 1,600 points, All-American. Wow. He was tough. He was a small guy. He's like 5'7", but very under control. And I think that was like me personally, we went to their house. That was the first year I was here. We went to the playoffs. Guys calling your name out in the crowd, and he was going crazy. Shooting from the volleyball line. Probably finished with 25 and 10. He was a great player. So that was like, to me, that was like my craziest in terms of like, oh, wow. But never nothing crazy like a guy throwing up on a court or, doing some type of crazy drug or anything like that before the game. So.
And those 2-a-days are fucking hell,
yeah.
bro. Those were
dude. So we were both on like, obviously like we both practiced. We were both on the varsity team. But then also we had like a development.
Yeah.
We didn't necessarily have a development team, but we had development games.
Yeah.
So the guys who were playing those games, obviously we weren't playing like the varsity games, and so we had like in additional lifts. So some days we would have wake up, shoot around as our first practice, lift after shoot around,
yep. And
then like 30 minutes for lunch, then half an hour film, 2-hour practice, hour lift.
Then we go back the next day. They have a game, so we have that off technically, but then we'd be right back into practice the next day with the same guy. It was consistent.
Yeah,
it
is definitely hard. It's definitely hard. But so before we wrap it up, we kind of like to ask all of our guests, just like what's one piece of advice you kind of give it to a younger hooper who's trying to go play pro, or not trying to just play college basketball, maybe trying to make their varsity team, get to the next level.
Go pro.
Oh, shit, someone's trying to go pro. Shit. But like, what's just one piece of advice you have?
Like I said, I mentioned it a lot throughout the podcast. Just stay positive. Be a good person. Be a good leader. Be the best you. At the end of the day, like the best pros, you have a lot of guys. You got Mike James, and then you got role players that come in and just, dunk the ball, rebound, so on and so on. Just be the best you. Be the best at what you're provided and what you can do, what you're physically best with, and things like that. Like, don't try to go out your shell. Don't try to be Kyrie. Be you. You know what you're good at. Like, I know when I was growing up, okay, cool, I had a good handle and I was fast. And obviously, I was a sponge, so that helped me go along the way. That helped me learn and be the best leader and the best player I could be. So, obviously, you know, just be you. I think a lot of guys are trying to be the next LeBron or the next Shai Gilgeous or the next Jared McCain or anybody you could think of, the next Zion Williamson. Like, you got to look at yourself and be real with yourself. Yes, there's certain things you could take from those players. I mean, personally, if you're 5'10" and you're trying to take game from Zion Williamson, I don't know what to tell you, but most of the time, take the good part of people games from them. Chris Paul, like if I'm a 5'10" guard, I'm looking at smaller guards like Chris Paul, Tyus Jones. It's a bunch of small guards you can look at. Raymond Felton, and it's guys that people don't even think of. Like, and again, going back to what you said about just watching different types of basketball. Don't watch the NBA. You get 0 steps. You get to take 3 steps. Don't watch it. Like, one thing my coach always told me in high school was watch college basketball. So if you're a high school basketball player, watch college basketball. Even if you're in college, watch college basketball. Watch WNBA basketball. People think girls can't hoop. It's a lot of fundamental things that you could take away from their games that we don't do.
I'm actually so glad you said that because I was telling one of the kids, the same kid that I trained the other day, I was telling him to watch a kid who was like in 7th grade. You know, Zion Harmon.
Yep.
He was so tough. He was the most mature 7th grader I've ever watched in my life. And I told him to watch him. He's like, I'm not watching somebody younger than me. His like the ego will get that. That's the number one thing if I could say that is just that's what's gonna get in the way of most of your growth is that ego that you're too good to watch a fucking 7th grader who was disgusting by the way and would absolutely bust this kid's fucking ass.
100%.
So it's like don't be afraid to watch kids who are younger than you, the same age as you. Just like watch all the basketball you can.
That's all we got for today.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you for having me.
Bro.